Okay, everybody's, we are doing Muscle Lab video number 5 of 8 right now, and that is going to be the muscles of the upper arm. So number 6 video will be the forearm, 7 will be muscles of the thigh, and number 8 will be muscles of the lower leg or crural and sural regions. Okay, so again, I have these videos posted as quick as I can get them downloaded, processed, re-uploaded, and saved and all that. Yesterday afternoon, it took as long to finally get the thing fully uploaded and processed through Canvas as it did to actually shoot the darn footage. So this is getting problematic. We're going to be doing muscles of the upper extremities, 1 of 2 here. Let's open this up and see the images. So we have these arm models here at multiple different views. I rotate these because these are complicated three-dimensional physical structures here. I'm going to stop share here and go directly to the model I have live. The upper arm, all things considered, is actually kind of simple. So some of this, there we go. Now I can get the whole thing in the field of view there. First of all, when we speak of medial this, medial that with the muscles, as with the bones and skeleton, we have to put everything in anatomical position. So remember, with anatomical position, you're standing, palms are facing forward, thumbs are sticking out away from the body. Pinky finger here is immediately located next to the thigh or hip as the person's hands may hang down, from their shoulders and, swing freely at their hips. It's worth mentioning right now, right here, the vast majority of textbooks, models, and worksheets, like this guy, for example, are not in anatomical position. This muscle bro here is not in anatomical position at all. I mean, this palm got his hands clenched in a fist, looking all manly like he should, but palms need to be facing forwards, hands open, thumbs lateral. So you look at an image like this, and you look on the internet, lab manuals, this is like basically a plastic model of a lot of drawings on a lot of worksheets. And it's not an anatomical position, so you got to do the mental work of rotating the arms and legs, bringing them down, and putting them in anatomical position. So there's some three-dimensionality here. You got to do some three-dimensional spatial thinking on a lot of this stuff. Let me get Muscle Bro out of the way here because he's in the way. We're not really going to cover him. I have some worksheets that I'm trying to put together on that, but being a short little 14, 16-inch high model, the resolution for video and photo just isn't there. So some of this stuff, let me put this poor fellow's deltoid back on, we already talked about when I talked about the muscles of the torso or trunk. Technically, they really should be covered right now when we speak of muscles of the upper extremity. I covered the deltoid before, the major arm abductor muscle, because it originates on basically the pectoral girdle, distal 1/3 of the collarbone or clavicle, and acromion process of scapula and spine of scapula. So the deltoid, and of course, it's going to concentrate all its power down on the deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. So we look at this muscle again, we have this J-shaped, U-shaped, crescent-shaped origin. And what that means, again, is if you want to work this muscle out, this portion is going to kind of oppose the action of this portion here. You're going to toss the kettlebells, anteriorly here. You're going to lift them laterally away from you if you want to work out that part. And if you want to work out this last part, you're going to still modify your kettlebell routine or circuit training machine routine even differently to work out that part. That is why if you're a noob at the gym and you're looking at the weight bench and all the circuit training machines they have in a good, well-stocked gym, you really do want to consult with a trainer because our musculature of the human body, it's complicated. And you do the wrong thing, you could put too much stress here or here and wreck yourself. Let's remove this deltoid. Actually, you know what? Let's not yet. Let's just put this way. So above here, I talked about this muscle yesterday with the torso and trunk lab. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus. These are rotator cuff muscles. Teres minor, rotator cuff muscle. Teres major, not a part of the rotator cuff group. So on a lab practical, on a quiz, let me put my thermonuclear, my Kung Fu enhancer out of the way here. You may call that coffee. I call it Kung Fu enhancer. I might have added some heavy cream and a splash of Baileys, who knows. Anyway, so you'll hear there's certain groups, functional groups of muscles, like the quads of the thigh, the triceps surae group of the lower leg, the rotator cuff group. I've always called it the rotator cuff, but technically it's rotator cuff group, consisting of, again, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis muscle. And again, the teres major is not a part of this group. So these are all going to stabilize the shoulder joint so the deltoid muscle can do what it has to do. You might say some of these rotator cuff muscles will oppose each other, others work with each other, but they all help the deltoid muscle to exert its power more efficiently. The deltoid muscle, think of it as a team. We're going to call this team shoulder joint, team acromion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members on this team involved with abducting the arm at the shoulder, rotating it just so, think of all the muscles you use if you're going to shoot a basket, pitch a softball, whatever, swing a tennis racket. This is the prime mover. This muscle here does the heavy lifting. This is the MVP player, the most valuable player. So we would say this muscle is the agonist in abduction of the arm, upper extremity at the shoulder joint. Everything else are helpers here of the rotator cuff group. We might say they help out, but they're not the main mover. They're synergists. They help this deltoid muscle. Okay, so we'll talk about those terms again. The term agonist in this part of anatomy class is going to be very different. It has a very different meaning than what you'll see in physiology or pharmacology course when you talk about hormones, neurotransmitters, pharmaceutical compounds. Okay, so let us deal with, I guess, first a medially located muscle called the coracobrachialis. Coracobrachialis. That's this skinny little thing medially here on the inside of your arm that spaces your rib cage. That's the medial side of your arm. It's going to be in between the biceps brachii and the triceps group here. It originates up here on a coracoid process of the scapula, and you can totally follow it down. It sort of kind of wraps around a bit. So it's it's kind of a long muscle, not super long. Its insertion is on the medial side of the humerus. And essentially, it's going to help flex and help adduct the arm. So once again, you could say this coracobrachialis is also a synergist of arm. What am I saying? It's an antagonist. It's going to oppose some of the rotator cuff muscles and the deltoid. That being said, it's going to be fairly weak in doing so because this is a smallish muscle. Okay, so next muscle. Let's rotate our arms. So we're looking at this from the outside. Let's put the deltoid back on. So now we're looking at the arm laterally. Now again, lateral view here, outside the back of the hands facing us. I'm sorry, the dorsal surface of the hand, the dorsum is facing us. We can't say back of the hand anymore. We got to use the $5 terminology. So if you've ever seen someone in a gym really ripped, they got their biceps bulging, their triceps are well defined. You see that little middle bulge, that third bulge in the middle in between the biceps and triceps? That is the brachialis muscle. Okay, what does it do? It flexes the arm at the elbow joint. Well, the biceps brachii do that too. But here's the thing, it's big. This is the biceps, this is the guns. This is why you curl dumbbells, so you can look good in a tank top and get this muscle nice and swole, bulgy, defined. Let me remove my deltoid here because it's in the way. Let's pull the biceps muscle off carefully. And oh my God, look how ridiculously big this thing is. It's really thick in cross section. It's huge. This, many people say, is the prime mover of arm flexion at the elbow joint. But because it's a deep muscle that it only sticks out on the sides, the guns, the biceps, get all the publicity. Okay, so the brachialis, it inserts on the coronoid process of the ulna. And as you can see, it originates right here on the anterior surface of the humerus. Okay, let's put the biceps back on and deal with the biceps. So biceps brachii, bi means two. It has two heads, a short head here and a long head here. Okay, so the short head is going to go to, what am I saying? I got that backwards. Long head here. Oh, it's longer. Short head here. So this long head is going to go all the way up to a supraglenoid tubercle. Actually, what am I saying? Long head. Yeah, technically this is the long head here because it curls up over around the humerus and keeps going underneath. So this actually is the long head, even though it looks shorter on this plastic model. Goes up. Ooh, I should have raised my camera. Over the top of the head of the humerus, underneath the acromion process and clavicle, to that what am I saying? Supraglenoid tubercle surrounding the glenoid fossa of the scapula. Whereas a short head doesn't have to go up, over, and around. It just stops right here. This one has to drive all the way to Miami. This one gets to stop in Houston or Denver or Nolens, so to speak. If you think of it as like a road trip and the distance it travels, coracoid process of the scapula is where the short head goes. Okay, now, since this inserts basically on the radial tuberosity, depending on how you do something like, say, curl a dumbbell, you can curl a dumbbell. Let me just get into the frame of view here. Palms up. You curl it palms up, you're giving your biceps a workout. Try this or this, you're giving the brachialis a workout. So working out these different muscles here, whether it's palms up or palms down, or really comfortable is this neutral position here, it's not gonna give you the same workout because you are fundamentally not doing the same thing. Functionally, since the biceps brachii and the brachialis do work together with arm flexion, we say they have a functional relationship. They're co-workers, they're teammates, they're on the same team, they're on team arm flexion. They're synergists. They're synergistic to each other. They help each other. Now, the triceps muscle, it's an arm extender. Extension is the opposite of flexion. So the triceps and biceps, they oppose each other. They go against each other. They antagonize each other. They fight. They're antagonists. Their functional relationship is antagonism. One flexes, the other extends. Okay, so on the lab quiz, on the worksheet, on the major lab practical, you see the question, what is the functional relationship between muscles A and B? Well, two possible answers really, antagonist or synergist. Now, having mentioned, let's get this annoying thing out of the way because I need that space for all my little pieces, parts for all these models here. So next muscle, triceps brachii. First of all, kind of a complicated piece. We have 1, 2, 3 different components of this muscle right here. They all have the same insertion. They all concentrate their force on the olecranon process of the ulna. But what we do have here is let's see, we have a lateral head, a long head, and a medial head, this little skinny part here. Essentially, it's like there's 3 different muscles making up this package we call the triceps brachii. I've already mentioned it's the prime mover, the agonist in extension of the forearm at the elbow joint. Okay, let me just fix that. There we go. And oops, hold on. I just lost my video, just got nuked here. So let's pin my video. There we go. Canvas needs to allow me a way of, or Zoom really needs to allow me a way of pre-pinning my video here. Okay, so let's just deal with the 3 heads here. Long head here is going to go up to the infraglenoid tubercle of the humerus. This little bit here, medial head, is going to go basically to the posterior shaft of the humerus, kind of distal though. And then the proximal, what am I saying, lateral head, I started to say proximal head. There is no such thing as a proximal head of the triceps brachii. The lateral head will go to the posterior shaft of the humerus, somewhat more distally located. I'm sorry, not somewhat more proximally located. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and 3 heads of the triceps muscle. Okay, and again, when you look at these, it's tricky because we have coracobrachialis, medial head of the triceps muscle sneaking in here. And then underneath here, this little section is brachialis muscle, and then biceps, which we got to pull off and to see the rest of the brachialis. Okay, so that's the upper arm. Let me go back to the screen share here with our worksheets. So these are the worksheets I have on Canvas. Technically, what you see on the live video screen and these still photos should be almost the same color. You notice the one I'm holding is more orange and this is more red. Geez, you talk about differences in color between cell phone interpretation, uploading this on one computer, putting it on a stick drive and viewing it on another. And on my flash screen on the wall, it's even more vivid red. So on all 3 different monitors, I see like slightly different colors here. That is really annoying. That gets to be a real headache in histology. At least these plastic models are big enough we can see. Anyway, so you can see all the little details here that I just mentioned here of the upper arm. And again, these rotator cuff muscles and deltoid muscles, though I did talk about those the other day when we covered the muscles of the trunk torso, it's really better to talk about them today because though they originate on the trunk torso region, they do their work, their actions upon the extremity here, the upper extremity. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this recording. You notice on these images, I just rotate them a little bit, a few degrees, and then take another photo and you label the same muscles from a different aspect. With that, I am going to stop the recording here, and our next recording is forearm muscles.